A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. Proverbs 1:5, King James Version.
Hi guys. So today we're going to be speaking about hypersexuality after going through sexual trauma. This is a topic that might be a bit hard to speak on and maybe even hard to hear about. I personally believe that many people that are hypersexual, and that's not necessarily a bad word or bad term either. It's nothing wrong with being in power of your sexuality, and technically that's not everybody's business, but we do need to be mindful of where that may be coming from. The best way for me to personally kind of explain it is sometimes, depending on what we went through growing up, those factors and experiences can contribute to how we view sexuality as an adult. Many people don't always see sex as something deep, sacred, and safe. So a lot of times, people who become hypersexual, it more so comes from a place of needing to fill a void, rather. As you can see, we are in my bedroom, right? And we're going to be moving forward in my room because I want this to be a safe space. I want people to understand that all is well. And here on Ask the Alpha, I don't want it to be anything that we can't talk about, whether that may be gender, race, sexuality, politics, whatever it is that you want to call it. However, I do keep it within a bedroom scene because I want to invite y'all to my slumber party and I want us to have a good time, right? And whether that might be getting deep, because nothing about me is surface level, and I like to get deep because I think it's important that we heal. Too often we see people grow up without knowing the deepest layers and aspects of themselves and not understand how that can affect them, their life choices, even their relationships outside of themselves. And it can be rather hard, in my opinion, to go throughout your life without understanding exactly who you are and all of the behaviors in which you develop. Something that I definitely struggled with as a young woman was hypersexuality because of the level of emotional abuse that I had endured growing up within my family. There was a lot of sexual trauma deep rooted within them, and so sex wasn't something that was spoken on in my family in general. It was just something that was seen as bad. I didn't really get too much education on it, which is pretty common in most households, but it does affect us as adults. Like, we're just not gonna act like it don't. Like, you know, you want to make sure that you're fully comfortable in those regards. And let's just be clear, healing is usually an ongoing thing, right? Although I am a Jesus believer, you know, we do say I am healed in Jesus' name. I also do understand that self-development is something that you have to continuously work on because we're always alive. We're always changing, we're always growing. Things that you may have liked 5-10 years ago, you might not like now, you know, and it's important to definitely be mindful of said things. Touching back on the topic that I was speaking on before, it's okay if this is not something that you believe is necessarily a problem. I'm not here to judge anyone. But speaking from my own experiences, I can say that I remember being hypersexual didn't necessarily fill the void that I was looking for. The love that I needed so dearly from my peers, family, close friends, I didn't receive. And it is at this very grown age that I'm finally realizing that it might not ever fully come from them. It has to come from us. we have to be okay with fully loving ourselves. And loving ourselves does not just mean buying fancy things. Loving ourselves does not just mean having on the flyest clothes, okay, or spending our money on things of the outside world, the vacations, materialism, right? Loving ourselves means understanding why we are the way that we are, facing our trauma, facing our triggers when we're ready, of course, and knowing that things will get better, and we can't, or we shouldn't rather, shy away from it. The sooner, especially with your age, the sooner that you tackle on your trauma, the sooner that you get to the root cause of things and the pain that you felt, the easier it will become to deal with it. I mentioned in my last video how sometimes when we suppress things, it ends up in our tummy, you know, and I use that analogy quite often because it is something that a lot of us do. I do it too. You know, sometimes the pain's too deep. You don't want to talk about how your mama wasn't supportive. You don't want to talk about how, you know, all the men wasn't doing right by you, or the woman shit, because, okay, a lot of times we don't really want to talk about those things, but there's nothing wrong with going and seeing somebody. And for many of us, the hypersexuality can come from a form of abuse as well. And I'm gonna post a trigger warning in that regard if this is not something that you guys would like to get into. I'm not gonna dive too deep into that topic either, but it's okay. It's okay. All is well. If you are watching this video, all is well. I am praying that you find all of the healing in the world, because many of us were mistreated, we were not protected, we were not safe, and we were judged very harshly. And even sometimes too, you know, you grow older, especially, I don't want to say especially as women, because that could be a men thing too. You grow older and you hear family members say things like, oh, you're a hoe, and you know, you be out in these streets and all of that stuff, and it's like, that's not really appropriate, you know. I am saying this to young women especially because we're gonna have children one day, and I don't want us to repeat the same patterns that our family members did. I don't want us to be as afraid as we were growing up, as unprotected as we should, and we should have been more protected. And it's just like when they say birds of a feather flock together. As much as I have healed and I may not necessarily do a lot of the things that I'm speaking on today, I damn sure did in my past, and we're not just going to overlook that. We're gonna get down to the nitty gritty and understand where that comes from. And you're not wrong for that. And if you guys see somebody who is in that kind of energy field, hold them. Tell them it's okay. Help them. They need help. You guys, we need help. All of us. Sometimes we'd rather just feel the pain with temporary pleasure. And it doesn't necessarily need to be hypersexuality as well. It could be things like overspending, overeating. Too much of anything is really not good. And we live in such a society, especially me, I'm in New York. You know, we live in such a society where it's like, oh, you know, I need to mind my business. That ain't got nothing to do with me. And it'll be your own family members. It never gave. It never gave to do that. It always gave support your loved ones. Be supportive, understanding, be a safe space, especially if you're older. Too many very much so older people I am seeing who didn't receive the soft and gentleness that they should have growing up, and then we turn to streets, to men, to addictive patterns, to sex, to drugs, to food, to alcohol, to fill these voids that we have so deep inside of us that we do not want to look at, that we are scared of opening. And it's okay too. Because the sooner that you do, you will unlock and unleash a version of yourself you never thought was possible. And you will be able to heal that inner child that so desperately is looking for that, that is longing for that from you. It's important and it's needed. Sending you guys love, happiness. You're always my babies. If you have a topic that you would like to be asked on my channel anonymously, please email me. I'm going to drop all of my information in the next slide. I will not post anybody's business that doesn't want to. Everything with me is anonymous, and my channel is solely to give out advice that is solicited, because I don't like running my nose in nobody's stuff if they don't want me to. Everything that I say and do, I pray that it rubs your ears the right way, and that you understand that I am not coming from a judgmental heart. I am here to help to the best of my abilities with the experience that I have. Sending you guys love. Bye.